Good morning, TownStar players. This is Neil Walters of Neil's Videos, and this week we're in the milk production competition that started Tuesday, November 29th. And I'll run you through a series of snapshots I took on my build, and then I'll show you the live video of where I'm at with that build right now. So this is the first screenshot I took. I'm sorry I didn't do any before that, but this is my new fast start methodology. In the previous video, I believe I mentioned that I was going to use pumpkins, and actually I tried to do honey and then build the cakery and then do pumpkins. And then I ended up actually buying the NFT for the cakery and found out that it was just too slow. And so I compared the time of building pies and how much money that made and the time to build candy canes and how much that made. And basically candy canes came out the winner. And so I spent more money and I bought a second, I already had one of these lollipop stores here. So I basically can lay those down in my town and start making money as soon as I have sugar and peppermint to feed them. Okay, so I put them here in the middle. Why did I do that? Probably because there were trees everywhere, right? So I think that was the first place I kind of had a little bit of clearing to do that. And of course, you can move them around during the game, which is one of the wonderful things about NFTs. I built the big warehouse, also an NFT, right across the street and got the Tesla coil between them. It gives one power to each. And so then I needed several wind turbines around the board to provide all the other energy that they're going to need because they take 5 energies to build each candy cane packet. Okay, so that was my start. I got my zones or mazes down here, zones 1 through 4. That will help with the speed of the cows and the sheep when they come along later. This is all sugar and peppermint, which was a continuous balancing act. This is a storehouse for just sugar. And then this is the default warehouse. I believe storehouse is right there. I put my windmills, first of all, 3 of them right here spread out from each other, enough squares so they would all be green. And also this one here. So I had 4 that were green. And then after a while, of course, you can't put any more. It's hard to squeeze any more in based on the trees and stuff. You don't have the money really to destroy a lot of trees. And so I put 3 in a row right here. So they're all going to be red, and that would make this one red now as well, meaning they produce slower. Also, notice I had 32 gas there. I'll show you my gas as I go along. So this is my new theory, is that I know I'm going to have enough money, so I'm not actually going to worry about my gas as soon as I normally do. So here, I'm just trying to, let me compare the 2 screens by going back and forth. What's different, right? Okay, so you can see I put in this one, the prior screen, I have my 2 water pumps here, also NFTs around that pond, getting ready for my power plants there. I need 2 paved roads, 1 for each power plant, so straight across from the water pumps. And actually, let me just even show you. Actually, my camera's been freezing. I may have to snap a screenshot of this. This is just a little simple piece of paper where I took my prior town that I did and I just kind of wrote down how I'm going to implement my power plants in this one. You don't need to go use the other utilities sometimes. I mean, that other utility is nice where you can plan out your towns. But I think, once you kind of got a feel for the game, I just kind of do some of the same things over and over again. And I typically build my power plants in the industrial complex the same way. It's just a matter of where it is on the screen based on where I have water and stuff. So I put it in the upper right-hand corner this time because I didn't want it touching my milk barns, obviously, and I didn't want it next to the water because this is where my crops are going to be. So I put it up here, and I just had to figure out real quickly where everything was going to go, basically because I just didn't want to make any stupid mistakes, because if putting a power plant in the wrong place costs you a lot of money, right? So being competitive, you should have at least I think that part nailed out how you want it. Now you're going to see I do make other mistakes, of course, because I don't take the time to plan everything. It all depends how much analytical you want to be and how competitive you are versus doing other real things in your life, right? So let's look at the next screen. So now you can see a mistake here. Let me compare these 2 again. So here on where the candy stores are, I went ahead and paved those roads, which was a mistake. And you see I have that paved road there. And then I decided to move them over here. So now I started paving the area, which is going to be a little square around the industrial complex, not just the two for the power plant. But it's always kind of been a decision one has to make as to when in the game you want to build your paved roads. And I had plenty of wood and lumber, so I figured now is the time to do it. Sometimes I wait to the end and then it becomes kind of a mess because all your wood and your lumber is being used by other things and you're competing. So right now, since I have no cows and sheep or anything, I had the wood to do it. So that was kind of the first time I've paved roads as early in the game as I did this time. What else here? You see the rows. Okay, all the windmills now are crunched over here on the side. So I have 5 of them. Eventually, I think I build 3 more over here. So that's what it takes, like 8 red windmill. I think it was 8 red windmills, means they run slow, to basically create the sugar I need to keep these guys running. I think even a 9th or 10th one would be okay for the sugar, but 8 was satisfactory, good enough. You can see down here, oh, this is how you build your ponds. If you have these NFTs, you can put a road there and just temporarily put your water towers, and then the ponds will get built a lot faster, if not instantaneously, depending on how powerful your NFTs are. So this one provides 5, and this provides 4 to the nearest tiles around it. Okay, next screen. The difference again, sorry. I think I went backwards there. Okay, so now, sometimes I put notes on here to remind me. Okay, so now you can, let's go back. Even here, you can see, okay, here, this is several screens back. I put the lumber mill and the lumber yard, okay. And then now I started paving things, and I put another big warehouse that I bought, put another lumber yard here, another lumber yard here, one for the trees. I have 2 silos because I just didn't want to compete with the peppermints and the sugar cane. And I didn't want to be selling stuff. Like if you have your gas plant built already, you can just set, okay, sell when I get over 10 of one or the other. But since I decided to put off building my gas plants and all, I needed 2 silos because I didn't want to waste money selling things so early in the game. Sorry, I didn't have notes on this one either. Oh, okay. Now you see the sheep pens. Okay, so here, this is why I had to move the lollipop candy stores over, because I put a wheat stand here, another NFT, which I've had a long time, and it provides 2 full wheats, or 2 squares out, 2 full wheat to everybody surrounding it, right? And then even one, if you go further out, it only provides 1. So I wanted to make sure that I had 2 squares around it reserved. So I found this road here, and I said, okay, I want 2 feed mills here. So this is where the wheat stand has to go. And if I need them later, I'll destroy this road. Of course, move the warehouse. I'll have 2 on the other side. And it turns out I still don't think I need 2 all the way around, because I'm still, as long as I see the feed mills are like sitting there with wheat in them, ready to go, or feed in them, it's really more up to having enough farmers to pick them up. And if they're still sitting there with feed in them, I don't think I need any more. Putting the food troughs in the right place is always a debate, for me anyway. Sometimes the ranchers tend to favor one location over the other. So you either have to try to put them equally apart. So I figured I'd put 1 here, and then like 1 over here when I get this part of the town rebuilt. So I did have to move them a few times, and we'll talk about that later. So I have 4 sheep pens now. Sheep require 5 water, where milk barns require 3. So I threw in this extra water tower here to give the extra water. For my pond pattern, I actually got this from Dubstep Rod's practice video that he did with no NFTs. And so basically the pattern here is put a pond, skip 2 squares, put a pond, and keep following that, skip 2 squares. I think this pond was here from the beginning of the game, so I hadn't destroyed it yet. But anyway, I will follow that pattern here. I put 2 ponds every 2 squares apart. And then you'll see in a minute how that will provide 6 waters, or water for 6 milk barns. Okay, and I wanted to show you here, I still got 21 gas. So I built this whole town with only using 20 gas, and that's because I'm not selling cheap things. I'm only selling basically candy canes, okay? So that's why I'm able to get a lot of money and keep building and not even worry about building the refinery yet. Once I build this refinery up here, it's going to start costing me, let's just say, for example, $1,000 a minute, because you have, actually it's probably more than that. It's like, I think it's $400 or $500 for each power plant per minute, and it's like 250, 350, whatever the number is for the refinery. So let's just say it's $1,000 a minute. That's 60,000 an hour. So that's money I can be using to build and build out my town rather than just building gas, which I don't even need yet if I'm not selling little cheap things. Okay. Now, I think we talked about paving roads. Originally, I added just 2 paved roads over here so I could do the power plants, which need a paved road, but then I decided to go ahead and pave a lot more. And now here, let's back up again and compare. So comparing this one to the next one, here I've got a few more feed mills, and I started putting in some pastures around here just to kind of give some more food for the sheep. Speed things along a little bit until I fill out this whole portion of my screen with other stuff. Now up here we have the refinery. So I finally did build the refinery. And the reason I really wanted the refinery rather than even waiting longer was I needed the power. So by having this power plant here next to the haunted east or west wing that I have, that gives me crude oil to the power plant, which gives me energy or batteries for my warehouse. And I needed the power to, I think, mainly for my wood and lumber, so I could run my lumber mill. Otherwise, I was starting to have a little bit of a power drain, and these guys were having to walk. My original place where my power was in a big warehouse over here in the middle, and they were just walking too far for that. So that's why I went ahead and completed all this. I moved these one more time just so they would be closer to the power, and they get all their power, I think, passively now as well. So what else? That's it for that screen. Now it's time for milk barns. So let me talk about the pattern again I got from Dubstep Rod. This pond here will give 2, of course, to its adjacent squares. So these 3, there could be up to 6 here, but I had some things in the corners. So you could have 3 milk barns there. So this provides 2 to each of those. And then it will provide 1 to the next 3 milk barns. Okay. And then you have the vice versa on the other side. This pond provides 2 to the 3 closest to it and 1 to the next 3 over. And then the same thing occurs over and over across the board. So you can see I placed my ponds now 2 apart. I got rid of that extra pond from the beginning of the game that was in there. And that's what I'm going to follow out there. For further up, I do have my water towers, so I'm not going to quite follow the same pattern there with the ponds. And I think I ended up leaving this tower here for the end of the game. Later, you'll see I moved these maze zones, whatever they're called, up here to the upper left. So I could cram some more milk barns down there, and they're getting a lot of their water from the big tower plus the ponds. And anyway, that's that version. If you want to see the time markers, it's going to be small, but up in the upper left-hand corner, the file name, this is going to be like now 6:43 p.m. I'm on Central Standard Time. So when it says like 1843, that's 1800 military hours, 6 p.m. And now you can see I've got a lot of milk barns, basically, and I probably build a lot of ranchers to be able to handle that. And let's check the food troughs. There's one there, one here, and still one over here. I'm keeping my sheep pens for now just to keep making cash. I think I got rid of them right before I went to bed. My cash was doing pretty good. What else? That's about it on that one. Okay, so now we're talking 10:52 p.m. So this is my first time I'm showing my production rate is 363 milk per hour at this point. And I know other people are getting like 500, 600, 800 or even more. So I take my hat off to those guys. They know things that I don't about the game, right? Or they have some extra skills or extra NFTs or something. I don't know. or maybe even better speed. I was fighting with my FPS, and I finally solved that, and I will probably do a separate video just on that. This is FPS frames per second. That's something you can turn on in your options over here, advanced options, whether you want to show that or not. And if your FPS is not like in the 30-ish range or even higher, your game is going to run slower than it should. And that's always kind of plagued me. And I think I have that finally solved. So here you see obviously more milk barns. I think we're getting an hour away from bedtime roughly. I think actually I didn't change too much after this. Okay, so that's that one. So yeah, basically right before bed then, well, still not bed, but I got rid of all the sheep now. So we have all these milk barns. And notice I scattered the storehouses here. I don't want the ranchers to walk, say, more than 6, 7, 8 spaces to a storehouse. Even if you could put more where they'd only walk 3 or 4, that could speed things up. So that's always one of those things. You want to waste the space on your town for a storehouse to speed things up, or would you rather be making milk on those spaces? So that's always an interesting trade-off that you have to deal with. So it's 10:55 p.m. My rank at this point is 374, which I was pretty happy with. All the sheep are gone. My income is still going up. So I also just keep a piece of paper and I write down every hour or two, like what my current city cash is up here. So I really should say not my income is going up, but my city cash. And I added one ATV, like over here where the red arrow is. And I said I was debating to add another one before bed. I think I did. I might need another trade depot truck. Okay, so right now I have 3 depots. So I was selling enough milk that I did need 3. But so far, even the next morning, I still haven't added the 4th one. So basically over here, if you see like milk in the 20s, 30s, or 40s or whatever, at some point you might need another truck up here. So I think that's why I have a blank space here. I was thinking about adding it. But if I just kept watching it, and it may go up to 20, 30 for a while, but then slowly it will catch up, or it may just stay in the 10s and 20s here. As long as it doesn't go up into the 40s, 50s, 60s, I think I'm okay. So it's basically the candy canes and the milk is what I'm selling, right? And it depends on how many storehouses you have. So here's 1, 2, there's one there, 3, and then of course this one. So I have 4 storehouses. So let's say 3 of the storehouses are pretty much dedicated to milk. So that means they hold 20 each. That's 60 milk. So as long as my milk doesn't go up to like 50 or 60 permanently, I think I'm okay. But anyway, at some point I might have to add another truck over here. I would still like to do a boat sometime. The freight boats sell 100 at a time, but you have to use I think a special script to do that. It's not built into the auto sell script yet for the game. So if you're still using trucks and a freight ship at the same time, I think you have to use the external script for that. Okay, so now here's 2 more ATVs I'm putting, I guess, before bed. No, this is next morning. I'm sorry. It's 7:30 a.m. Wednesday morning. That's this morning. I had 21 million in city cash from over the night, so that's pretty good. I will now build 1 or 2 ATMs at a time. So like basically every hour I'm trying to build, say, 2 ATMs. And as long as my city cash is going up and not down. So that's why I spread them an hour or 2 apart. Again, if I was more aggressive, I could do them faster, but it's just I kind of almost set an alarm, and come back every hour and check on it. And if I have money, I build another one. At the end of my building phase, I think I might be able to get rid of a few trees over here and maybe my lumber yard. I have an extra lumber yard. So once you quit building lumber, you're probably not going to need as many trees. I don't leave my my lumber mill on all the time. And that's the other thing I forgot. I forgot 2 things. There's always things to forget with all these NFTs. So I bought all the ornaments, and I got lucky. I got the right mix of them, and then the 7th one was gifted to us, right, number 7. But you had to, what's it called, get it out of your treasury, or what is it called, treasure chest, and make it a normal NFT. And I didn't do that till mid-game, so that, I guess, speeds up something. It's hard to remember all these NFTs now. It's becoming a card game as well as much as a town building game, right? You have to remember what all these NFTs do. So that was one thing. Also, I didn't include my ghost, whatever it's called, card that speeds up the lumber mill. And I saw people in the discussion forum talking about that. They said, oh, it's a game changer. And I'm like, oh, I forgot I even had it, right? So I didn't include that card to make my lumber mill faster. So now I guess it's making lumber in 5 seconds, which is a big improvement. So I can't leave or I don't want to leave that lumber mill on all the time, because then I end up with like a lot of lumber and no wood. So I need wood to keep feeding the milk barns down here. Just in case like the lumberjacks don't deliver the wood directly, the farmers need, the ranchers might go to the, what's it called, lumber yard and get the wood. So you want a little bit of wood for them, plus for future building projects. My rank at 9 a.m. was 433. So did I drop or go down during the night? Let's go back here. I don't think I showed my rank what it was last night. Okay, so I should have my rank more often in here. Okay, anyway. 10:55. I think this is right before, yeah, this is right before I'm making this video. That's 10:55. Sorry. So this is, I think, my last screenshot. So now we'll go to the live game. You see there's an ATV that I forgot I was building because I was making the video. Turned on. I still got 24 million cash. That's one thing I discovered. I did a bit of a practice game, or was it Sunday, Monday, on the practice servers, and I basically overbuilt my ATVs and my money was going down. So I'm trying to totally avoid that this time. But my biggest difference is in that practice game, I was using the cakery to make pumpkins, and now I'm making candy canes. So we may not have that issue this time. We'll see. Everything's running, like I said, pretty fast. I'm getting the 32 frames per second, and everything's just kind of buzzing compared to the way it used to. The only things that I could try to tune, but I think I don't care, is the basic point, is I could try to put more milk barns where some of these, whatever it's called, clover fields, or what's it called? Not the clover, something else. It's just the meadows, okay? Where the meadows are still providing a little extra food for the milk barns, and I could squeeze a few milk barns in here. I think I did actually add one right here, because I know it had enough water. The problem down here with these is there might be, well, here I could put 2 right there, for example, because I do have those ponds there. So I might do that later today. It's not going to make a big difference, you know, with your position. That's what I'm saying, with your position 350 or 400 or 450, unless you're just going for the bragging rights or trying to make sure you get that next higher NFT. But I think I'm in the zone where it's not going to make any difference. So that is my current game on the milk build. I found it interesting. I heard someone else thought that it was a boring build, but it was an easier build, which I kind of like. The last build was kind of grueling, the one where we did the stacked boxes. So sometimes it's nice just to have a little bit of an easier build. The only point was, why would they go all the way through Saturday on it? Why don't they just cut it off on, really, I could cut this one off on Thursday, basically. The one thing I wish they would really add is they would just count how many hours you play. So again, a lot of people work and have different jobs and different schedules. It'd be nice if you could play the game, for example, 24 hours, which is, you know, like 3 8-hour sessions or 4 6-hour sessions. Let you do it on your own time, and then just close the game, and then everybody would be limited to, say, 24 hours or even just 18 hours or something like that. Because, I mean, it is a very time-consuming game. You don't have to always be sitting in front of it. You can go do other things, thank goodness. Like if you're playing Spider Tanks, I believe you have to be there right there playing, or you're going to lose, right? This one, you set up things, you go away, you come back, you do more, you go away, you come back. And sometimes it's just so boring when you're clicking there, like trying to add like an ATV, and it takes 7 minutes to do it. It's like, what am I going to do for 7 minutes? You know, it'd be nice to go do something else, but you want to make that building appear at the end of the 7 minutes, and you have to click on it. So those are the things that can be annoying, but I still find it a a fascinating game, and if you're an analytical person and like to use your mind, I think it's a very good mind game to challenge yourself. So anyway, that's my TownStar game for this week. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you soon on another video. Bye bye.